Hello and welcome back to another in-depth weather video. Today we're going to be talking about this northeast snowstorm, and is it going to be a major snowstorm or is it going to be a bust? Because right now, according to all the models, I've looked at them all, and we're going to look at all of these models today. It can go either way. And being 2 days out from this storm actually happening and the snowfall actually accumulating, this is a very difficult storm to forecast because there's so many variables involved. I've been watching a lot of other YouTubers' videos on this storm. It's very, very intriguing because we could see some areas get no snow that are forecasted to get snow in certain models, and then see certain places get huge amounts of snow that get none in certain models. So we definitely have to take a look at all of these models. Might seem a little excessive, but I can think that these are pretty necessary to get the best scope of this storm. But if you like this video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell. Right now we do have winter storm watches, not warnings, watches in parts of Massachusetts, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine ahead of this storm system. Let's move on here to the winter weather outlooks. So I am zoomed in here on the northeast. So we're going to go through here. This is the probability of accumulating 1 inch or more. So we're going to keep scrolling through here. We start to see some impacts right in here. Right, so you have some areas with slight chances of snowfall accumulating from southeastern New York through Connecticut into Massachusetts, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine, as well as parts of upstate New York. Then we move to the next. Kind of had those same areas, but it's kind of filling in a little bit more. And you can see one area here in 80 to 90% in parts of New Hampshire, Maine, and Canada. Now if we move on another run here, you can see that area expands, as well as another 80% area here in Maine. Then we move on yet again, a large area pops up now. Then Sunday, all those kind of form together, and then Sunday night we finally get a 90% chance. So from that you could already see that we're not sure what's going to happen with this, because there's still in these areas that could get dumped on with 6 inches of snow, and that's a pretty good percentage for 6 inches of snowfall here at 60 to 70%. We don't even know if they're gonna get 1 inch, nonetheless 6. So there's still that 20% chance that they get no snow. That's very, very weird. So let's take a look first at the NAM 3-kilometer model. So the NAM 3-kilometer model shows the storm coming in. You get some rainfall in parts of the tri-state area in Pennsylvania. That all moves through. Then you have this storm system over here, which we talked about the other day, that's going to be kind of bringing in some cool air. This is the 540 line. We're going to be looking at this. This indicates cold air. Then you can see here, as this low pressure moves in, you get a lot of heavy rain on the coast, but this low pressure is so far off the coast that it really can't pull in that cold air. Now it starts to in parts of Massachusetts, and you see this thing be very coastal. Boston would probably get hammered by this if it wasn't such a short amount of time, and because of all of that time, they are pretty much below that 540 line till the very end here. Now the NAM 3-kilometer model has Maine getting absolutely hammered, and we can see here, if we go to total positive snow depth change, we have 10 inches, or at least a large area of 6 inches plus on the NAM 3-kilometer model. Now let's move on here to the NAM 12-kilometer model. Okay, so the NAM 12-kilometer model has kind of the same story here, some rain filtering in, kind of fills in a little bit more, but that low pressure is still so far south. Then What's really interesting about the NAM 12-kilometer model is that it shuns out Boston as well, leaving this all to Maine for the entirety of the storm. And you can see all the heavy snowfall, all the 6 inches, barely in Maine. It's all in New Brunswick, Canada. So that means that most of those areas that were in that 80% chance get less than an inch of snowfall. Now let's move on here to the GFS. Alright, so the GFS has this loading in. You have that rainfall starting out above that warm front. Then this starts to move in. That low pressure is a little bit further north now, so it could pull in some of that cooler air, and it's already starting to. Now you get more of that area in interior Connecticut, interior Massachusetts, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, and that moves up the coast, strengthens as well. You can see 986 to 981. I don't want to sounding, thank you very much. But as this intensifies, you can see that interior Maine gets hammered, and that's more in line with what the National Weather Service is predicting here. With those probabilities, you can see those 80% areas definitely getting hit with some major snowfall. So let's move on here to the GFS Parallel model. So you can see here everything filters in. This thing's very weak at the time, but strengthens off the coast, and you can see some lighter snow filtering in here to New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Connecticut, New York, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and Maine. But this thing really intensifies into Maine, kind of like the 12-kilometer model was showing. And if we go to, we're going to go to total snowfall because it's the only thing they have, and you can see this is way outscaled, by the way, so I would take about half of this number. So you can see areas probably getting 3 to 5 inches possibly in Maine, because of maybe even a few areas getting 6 to 8 inches. But there's not much there, and that's because this storm system is projecting to be very weak. So let's move on to the Canadian model. So with the Canadian model, you have that rain filtering in. That's pretty much agreed upon at this point. Then this thing's a little bit stronger, but it's so far off the coast here. And actually, another thing is, it's off the coast a little bit, and it's having cold air issues. So you can see that 540 line is just staying right on the cusp of the storm until it gets into interior Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, and then it really strengthens. Now, once again, we don't have the total positive snow depth change, so again, take this as a proportion. Probably some areas getting 6 inches plus, most areas getting 3 to 5 in interior Maine. But most of your population centers, New York, Philadelphia, DC, Boston, getting maybe Boston gets 3 inches, very unlikely in this model. But New York gets nothing, Philly gets nothing. That's pretty significant. Now let's move on to the European model. Now the European model has been pretty bullish on this storm. So it has that rain band coming in early throughout the day today. Then it moves off the coast. Alright, you have this snowfall here, but a lot of this mix. Alright, and then it kind of goes all snow, very heavy snow. You can see at up to half an inch, and maybe half an inch an hour. Probably not even. Like 1/10 of an inch to 2/10 of an inch an hour. And you can see once again, if you exclude that mix, you have those major population centers kind of staying out of it a bit. And if we go here to total snow depth, you can see this includes the mix. So again, take this with a grain of salt. I'd say that these areas getting 13, that's about 6 inches. So basically just a rough translation. Because of that wet snow, that's going to be what's falling. These red areas is 6 to 12. These pink areas are 3 to 6. and these blue areas will probably see no more than an inch, and these very light blue areas will probably see nothing. So we have so many different perspectives on this storm. I shared them all with you today. I know this video is long, but I think that this is very useful in terms of preparing yourself for this storm if you live in the Northeast. I think out of the 4 major population centers, DC, Philly, New York, and Boston has the best chance of seeing snowfall. I think DC has 0 chance. Philadelphia, I'd give it no more than 10%. New York, I'd give you probably 20 to 30% chance of seeing an inch, just based on this 3-kilometer model and kind of how it's been shifting. No, the GFS, because if you get a little bit more cold air, that changes over to snow very easily. I think Boston, you probably have a 60% chance of receiving an inch, and Maine, I'd give that probably a 70 to 80% chance as well. So kind of take the NWS forecast to heart here with their probabilities, but this is very confusing, and that also ties into whether this gets named or not. I don't know if it'll get named, but if it does, I will make a video probably very similar to this, maybe a little bit less in depth into the different models. But yeah, this video has been plenty long. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time.